Here's what's been going on. XRP has essentially been in sideways movement since December 2024. That decline just before the monthly close wasn't particularly shocking because we haven't seen any monthly closes break above that $3.03 level. To be honest, most of us anticipated that, but this is where things start to get interesting. I have a good feeling that September's monthly close will eventually break through that $3.03 resistance. Many people are still talking about XRP reaching $4 or $5 in September, and wow, I hope that forecast turns out to be accurate. However, don't get ahead of yourself expecting any significant breakout signals just yet. For XRP, the Bollinger Bands are currently displaying some red flags. Look, as soon as the market declines, all these stories claiming that XRP is in danger appear. Don't count on it to rise. Put all of your money into Bitcoin and dump your XRP. We've seen the song and dance a lot already, don't we? They are constantly attempting to persuade us that XRP is completed in order for the cycles to be completed. The problem is that they want you to sell in a panic. So don't fall for it. We're on the verge of an alt season that might be completely crazy. Black Swan Capitalist just made an intriguing revelation. According to him, the next cryptocurrency boom will end. Most tokens will plummet, and liquidity may freeze up by 2028. Here's the worst part though. Real value will only be moved by scalable neutral rails like XRP and XLM. And you know what? Behind the scenes, the same organizations who are producing all of this havoc are secretly placing bets on them. The article is accurate in this regard. You shouldn't be having trouble sleeping if you own XRP, XLM, or XDC when you consider who is supporting these stocks. We are discussing the major stakeholders, such as central banks, the World Economic Forum, and the IMF. You should learn all you need to know from it. Look, everyone is aware of the secret that is going to completely upend the conventional 4-year cycle. Real use cases and usefulness are important. Yes, everyone is already thinking about 2028, but really, does anyone believe that cycle will even occur as we anticipate? We're looking at a total game changer between now and then. Imagine AI blowing up everywhere, tokenization becoming commonplace, and boom, a new financial system replacing the old one. Bitcoin is essentially being pushed into the kiddie table by everything that is going on behind the scenes right now. Therefore, explain to me how it is meant to suddenly reach $1 million when all of the big institutions, smart money, and ordinary people are running for currencies that truly address problems. Do you want evidence? In just one day, Korea went completely crazy. $4.330 billion in total trading turmoil is what we're talking about. At the forefront of this feeding frenzy, XRP/KRW is dominating it with 16.9% gains and $731 million, taking the top rank in the market. The rest of us are being taught by Korea exactly who is in charge of this bull market circus. Considering those inflows from Korea, I fully anticipate that XRP will completely turn around at this point. It will rise sharply again, and those XRP ETFs will undoubtedly attract significant institutional investment. This story that is now circulating is, in my opinion, total nonsense. According to certain cryptocurrency specialists, like as Adriano Faria, spot ETFs will mark the beginning of XRP's demise. According to his entire theory, there will be no institutional demand for XRP once these goods are out. The man is completely mistaken. Come on, do you really believe that all of these XRP ETF filings have just emerged out of thin air? They took place as a result of organizations practically knocking on Franklin Templeton and Grayscale's doors and saying, hey, this is exactly what we want next. In the first place, the filings are solely there for that reason. Look, there is already a significant demand for XRP ETFs, and what do you know? The folks who want XRP to vanish are afraid. Bitcoin maximalists can't stop raving about XRP, therefore anyone who has doubts about it is just acting out of fear. And there's a rationale behind it. They know deep down that it is the biggest threat to Bitcoin, so they must continue to discuss it. As you can see, 10 publicly traded XRP treasury firms have already begun to take action. Trident lost $500 million, Vivo Powers at $120 million, while we put in $300 million. Additionally, they are risking $1 million on Flare for yield. $50 million were taken by Hogistics, 10 by Hyperscale, 5 by Worksports, $250K by BC Bud, $225K by Digital Com, and $2.5 billion by Gummy Japan. 17 million USD is that amount. With 10 million more staking on Flare for yield, everything blockchain completed it. Is anyone claiming that there is no market for XRP? They aren't concentrating. These treasure corporations are already present and have made public pledges. There is a genuine need, and I predict that even more businesses will enter the market in 2025, with 2026 being a huge year. This is clearly setting us up for XRP scarcity. The kicker is this: professional investors are ignoring Bitcoin entirely and instead choosing to, well, hear what Matt Hogan has to say about it. The majority of professional investors don't actually hold gold. Gold is similar to a specialized asset. Perhaps 15% to 20% of them are gold owners. Only stocks and bonds are owned by the remaining 80%. Many individuals, in my opinion, look at Bitcoin and conclude that it is digital gold. I own technologies, but I don't own gold. As a result, we're hearing that many individuals bypass it entirely and head straight to ETH. And once more, I believe that the cash flow story, the stablecoin story, and the tokenization story all fit inside the framework of a professional investor. Therefore, I believe that these flows will continue. Watch what happens when these major players start investing in XRP instead of ETH. These individual investors on X claim that institutions are exclusively interested in Bitcoin, but here's the thing: already they're looking far beyond Bitcoin. To be honest, the most of them are already searching outside of Ethereum. Why? Because XRP genuinely helps their firms deal with real-world issues. These organizations can utilize it to transfer tokenized assets and shift money around. It simply serves their needs and provides them with this. Cardano's Charles Hoskinson recently revealed that Brad Garlinghouse was present at a round table of the Federal Reserve. You must listen. The Federal Reserve, was a really wonderful inner industry, and I was sitting at a round table. Governors were therefore present in the reserve. In reality, I was with Brad from XRP, Ilya from NIA, Sergey from Chainlink, and Anatoly from Solana. The Federal Reserve is attempting to determine their role, place, and purpose with the Genius Act because historically they have been the payment regulator for 120 years, give or take. It was a very pleasant round table where we had the opportunity to speak with the Fed directly. Well, the Fed, on the other hand, was somewhat excluded from the celebration. This is handled by three main regulatory agencies. The Federal Reserve, the FDIC, and the OCC are among them. This is significant because stablecoins simultaneously exist in two different realities. They reside in the Web3 world, to start. They are therefore tokenized, and we spend a lot of time considering how to increase volume and liquidity. Tokens worth more than $250 billion have been issued, and more than 180 million transactions occur each month. It's a gorgeous high velocity and extremely dense space. However, those are only valuable because someone in the legacy world is holding an asset on the other side. It is either at a bank or another location in the legacy world, and it is represented in some manner, such as a treasury. In other words, Genius established some basic guidelines, but now rulemaking must take place, and they must begin discussing topics like how to obtain a master account with the Fed, how to guarantee these, what the custodial standards are, and what the audit is. Observation and look of a cryptocurrency asset. Additionally, this enables you to provide other valuables, like Bitcoin, more privacy. Alright, imagine that while everyone else is still learning checkers, Ripple is essentially playing financial chess. They're not merely attempting to function as a bank. They aspire to be the bank that all other banks flock to, emulating Amazon, but for international money transfers. They are involved in every aspect of custody checks for their own stable coin. Yes, you bet on tokenization. Additionally, XRP is their secret sauce, connecting everything and moving value from one place to another more quickly than you can say wire transfer. Plot twists. The Fed has been approving them for years, but once they obtain the banking license, the golden ticket, it's game over. The Federal Reserve's David Andorfata essentially stated publicly that Ripple's technology works well with the US payment system as a whole. Great presentation, David. Thank you. How will we make that happen, and what do we do? How long will it take? So thank you, very lot. Everyone now knows to shorten all of the great things I